Your dog dips their nose into the grass, tears off a mouthful, chews it slowly, and you think, here we go again. You've Googled it. You've asked your vet. You've heard upset stomach so many times it is practically a reflex answer. But here's the thing, the research doesn't actually back that up. Less than 25% of dogs vomit after eating grass. Less than 10% show any signs of illness beforehand. So if it is not a stomach thing, what is it? The answer goes deeper than you'd expect, and it changes how you see your dog entirely. Let us be honest. The grass-eating thing has probably stressed you out at least once. Maybe you yanked your dog away from a lawn, worried about pesticides. Maybe you called your vet in a mild panic after they ate half your backyard. Maybe you've just stood there, leash in hand, genuinely baffled, watching your dog graze like a small, confused sheep. And the advice you get, it's almost always the same. Upset stomach, boredom, nutritional deficiency. Stop them if you can, ignore it if you cannot. But here's the problem with all of that. It is mostly assumption dressed up as fact. The real science on why dogs eat grass is newer than you'd think, more nuanced than anyone tells you, and honestly, a little fascinating. Because this isn't just about grass. It's about understanding what your dog actually is. Not the domesticated companion we sometimes forget evolved from something wild, something ancient, something that had very specific reasons for doing very specific things. In this video, we are going to walk through what the research actually says, what's driving this behavior at a psychological and instinctive level, what it could and couldn't mean for your dog's health, and when, if ever, you actually need to worry. By the end, you are going to look at your dog's next grass-eating moment completely differently. Not with panic, not with confusion, with understanding. Let us start by dismantling the myth that's been running the conversation for decades. The upset stomach theory goes like this. Your dog feels nauseous. They instinctively eat grass to make themselves vomit. They feel better. Clean, logical, done. It's the explanation vets have defaulted to, pet owners have repeated, and the internet has copy-pasted into oblivion. There's just one significant problem. The data doesn't support it. A study out of the University of California surveyed over 1,500 dog owners. What they found was striking. The vast majority of dogs who ate grass showed no signs of illness before doing so. No lethargy, no lip-licking, no hunched posture, none of the classic pre-nausea signals. And after eating grass, only about 22% vomited, which means roughly 78% of the time, nothing happened. The dog just ate some grass and moved on. So the stomach-settling theory, at best, explains a small fraction of grass-eating episodes. At worst, it is a convenient story we told ourselves because we needed an answer, and that was the simplest one available. Now here's where it gets interesting. Short start, the real explanation isn't medical, it's evolutionary. And to understand it, you have to go back, way back, to what dogs actually are underneath all the training and the toys and the cozy beds. Dogs are facultative carnivores. That means they evolved primarily eating meat, but they are fully capable of digesting plant matter. And their wild ancestors, they weren't eating just muscle tissue. They were consuming whole prey, which included the stomach contents of herbivores. Partially digested grass, leaves, plant fiber, all of it. Grass eating in this context isn't a glitch. It's an echo. It's your dog's biology doing something ancient that once made complete sense in a world before kibble and twice daily feeding schedules. Researchers call this behavior pica when it refers to eating non-food items generally. But grass specifically falls into a more refined category that some animal behaviorists have started calling ancestral grazing behavior. The instinct is deeply embedded. It doesn't require a trigger. It doesn't require a problem. It just surfaces. Like a reflex from a life your dog never lived but is still biologically wired. But let us not stop there, because the evolutionary lens is only part of the picture. There's another driver that almost nobody talks about: sensory stimulation. Think about what grass actually offers a dog's senses. There's texture, the resistance of a blade between the teeth, the slight crunch, the fibrous pull. There's scent, Grass holds an enormous amount of olfactory information, from soil microbes to insect activity to moisture levels. And there's taste. The chlorophyll compounds in fresh grass have a slightly bitter mineral quality that some dogs seem to genuinely enjoy. We tend to project our own experience of grass onto our dogs. To us, it is just lawn. To your dog, it is a multi-sensory environment packed with information. Eating it isn't weird. It's actually a very logical response to something that smells interesting, feels interesting, and tastes interesting. This is why you'll often notice dogs are more likely to eat grass in spring, when new growth is tender and strongly scented, or after rain, when the ground opens up and releases that rich, earthy smell. It's not random. There's a sensory logic to it. Now let us talk about fiber. Because this is where the nutritional angle becomes more nuanced than the simple, nutritional deficiency excuse you've probably heard. It's unlikely your dog is eating grass because they are critically lacking in some essential nutrient, especially if they are on a quality commercial diet. But fiber, that's a different conversation. Fiber affects gut motility. It feeds the beneficial bacteria in the intestinal tract. It helps move things along in a way that protein and fat simply do not. And modern dog diets, even good ones, are often relatively low in the kind of insoluble fiber that wild dogs would have gotten naturally from consuming plant matter in prey. Some researchers believe dogs may be self-regulating their fiber intake through grass eating, not because something is wrong, but because the body is doing what bodies do, seeking what it needs to function optimally. It's not panic. It's calibration. There was a compelling case study published in a veterinary journal about a miniature schnauzer who was eating grass obsessively, several times a day, every day, vomiting frequently afterward. The owner switched the dog to a high-fiber diet. Within 3 days, the grass eating stopped almost completely. Now, one case study isn't a controlled trial, but it is a data point worth sitting with. Here's the thing nobody tells you about dog behavior. Most of it exists on a spectrum. A dog eating a little grass occasionally is almost certainly expressing something normal and instinctive. A dog eating grass compulsively, frantically every single day with vomiting, weight loss, or visible distress, that's a different conversation. That's when you call your vet. Not because grass is inherently dangerous, but because compulsive behavior of any kind usually signals something worth investigating. So how do you tell the difference? Watch the manner, not just the act. Is your dog grazing slowly, almost lazily, the way they might sniff a tree for 30 seconds before moving on? That's exploratory. That's normal. Are they eating frantically, gulping mouthfuls down without really chewing, repeatedly returning to the same patch? That's compulsive. That's worth paying attention to. Watch the timing. Occasional grass eating scattered across different walks, different contexts, different moods. Normal. Grass eating that always happens at the same point on a walk, or always right after meals, or always when they seem anxious. That pattern is telling you something. And watch what comes after. Occasional vomiting after grass? Probably fine. Some dogs seem to use it intentionally in exactly the way the old theory describes, even if it is not the whole story. Frequent vomiting, blood in the vomit, diarrhea, lethargy, weight loss. See a vet. Not because the grass caused it, but because those symptoms together need a real workup. Now let us address the thing most owners actually want to know. Should you stop it? And the honest answer is, probably not, as long as you are managing the actual risks. Because the risks with grass eating aren't really about the grass itself. They're about what's on the grass. Pesticides, herbicides, lawn treatment chemicals, these are genuinely harmful if ingested in significant amounts. Parasites, certain intestinal parasites, can live in soil and on grass blades, and a dog who eats a lot of grass from unknown sources is getting repeated low-level exposure. So the practical rule is this: grass from your own untreated lawn, reasonably safe. Grass from a neighbor's yard, a public park, a roadside verge you have no information about, worth interrupting. Not because eating grass is bad, but because you cannot verify what's been sprayed on it. This shifts the whole conversation, doesn't it? Instead of trying to eliminate a natural, instinctive behavior, you are just managing the context in which it happens. That's a much more sustainable approach for you and for your dog. You can also redirect without punishing. If you are in a high-risk area and your dog goes for the grass, a calm leash cue, a simple, let us go, a treat scatter in a different direction. These work without creating anxiety around something your dog's nervous system has been doing for thousands of years. Let us zoom out for a second, because there's something bigger here that I want you to take with you. We live in an era of hypervigilance about dog behavior. Everything gets pathologized. Everything gets Googled at midnight. Everything becomes a potential symptom of something terrible. And I understand that impulse. You love your dog. You want to get it right. And the internet is very good at making everything sound like an emergency. But one of the most important things you can develop as a dog owner is the ability to distinguish between behaviors that need intervention and behaviors that just need understanding. Grass eating almost always falls in the second category. Your dog isn't broken. They're not suffering. They're not sending you a distress signal wrapped in a mouthful of lawn. They're doing something ancient, something sensory, something that connects them, however faintly, to a version of their species that roamed and hunted and ate the whole world, not just what came out of a bag. There's something quietly beautiful about that, if you let yourself see it that way. When you understand the why behind the behavior, you stop fighting it and start relating to it. You stop yanking the leash and start paying attention. And that shift, from reactive to curious, is one of the most underrated things you can do for your relationship with your dog. Because a dog owner who understands their dog isn't just calmer on walks. They're better at reading every signal, every behavior, every moment of communication their dog is offering. And your dog feels that. They feel the difference between being managed and being understood. If this video gave you a different way of looking at your dog's grass habit, then it did exactly what I hoped. And here's what I'd actually encourage you to do next. The next time your dog goes for a patch of grass, just pause before you react. Watch them. Notice whether it is slow and exploratory or frantic and compulsive. Notice the context, the timing, the mood. You're not going to solve anything by pulling them away reflexively, but you might learn something about your dog that no article could teach you. If you want to keep going down this road of understanding what your dog's instincts are actually telling you, the next video on reading your dog's body language covers a lot of the same territory, but from a completely different angle. It's worth your time. Thanks for watching. If you loved this video, scan the QR code on the screen right now to subscribe and join the Pawsome Life family. Give your dog a belly rub for us, and we will see you in the next video.